are on.
Action. What's up, boys? What up, Kia?
And
Adrian will be back. He's grabbing glasses.
Ah, okay.
What's up, everybody? This is Cigar Talk Live, our Tuesday get together where you beautiful people get to sit with these beautiful people, and Adrian's also coming. And we're going to show you what a cigar lounge experience is like without talking at all about cigars or talking about how fast or slow we smoke cigars. Although we'll probably
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. We're going to talk about it. We are allowing Chris to come in and defend his honor because last week he was upset by the way we spoke about the recollection of the time that he tried to smoke a big cigar way too fast and got sick and threw up on my shoulder. That being said,
recollection, is that pretending like we didn't remember it correctly? Because I remember it pretty correctly.
I remember it really correctly.
We had slow-mo on the.
I was about to say, there is video evidence.
Some very key details.
Okay, we will talk about those details and more coming up soon. Adrian, what's up, dog? What's up? Chris, what's up, homie?
Good.
How you doing, Red Pops?
I'm on top of the world.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. Well, I'm gonna try to take this plastic off of this fucking thing.
Why don't that's probably gonna take you 90 seconds.
So take. Oh.
Yeah. So why don't you give us, while he's doing that, tell us your life story in 90 seconds.
90 seconds. All right, I'll go real quick from beginning to end. Let's see. Adopted at 3 weeks old. Grew up and lived in Texas. High school, Bay City High School. Texas A&M. Home Depot for 6 years. Consulting for 17 years. Let's see. Nashville for 3, Virginia Beach for 3, and then back to Texas, Arlington, Richardson, and then over to Frisco 7 years ago. And
Just in the nick of time.
Just in the nick of time.
Yeah.
And now with Wells Fargo, recently got engaged, and have a house in Michigan.
Would you say you officially moved to Michigan?
No, I mean, I've actually stayed more days in Texas this year than I have in Michigan. Where our goal is to live there for a year and a half, really settle into the house, get to know the area, make improvements, whatever, and then come back here and make that like our vacation home, Airbnb it or whatever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's amazing how much crappy houses there go for Airbnbs for the summertime. It's amazing.
Well, he's gonna shut this off. Watch this shit. We got a non-Apple guy over there messing.
Non-technical guy, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I got it.
Knocking cigars over. Okay, well, regardless, you have been ICC family since the very, very beginning. I remember the first time meeting you at Cigars 101.
It's good.
And fast forward 7 years, I just got an email today that said, "Dear Reverend Brandon Prince," because I got ordained to marry you.
I know you did. We're still working on that.
No, how is it? Cheers. Should we start the show?
Yeah.
Cheers to all of you. Make sure to chime in because we do have production crew over here. We'll be monitoring and we have production crew with a hat on.
Apple juice. That's good.
And I think
that's the best apple juice I've ever had.
Besides production,
that's
like horchata.
That's good.
Sweet.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's the sweetest. It's like syrup. What is this? Three Amigos.
I don't know.
Ramona's Reserve.
That's dang. That doesn't even taste like that.
No, it's not good.
It does.
Yeah, it's by the way, it's 60 proof, so we're gonna have to drink a whole bottle to get into real conversation.
Okay.
So we technically have, what, 2.5 in our production crew, and then we have a couple others here, so I think technically that's an audience.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have at least 2 to have an audience, right?
Yeah,
At least, yeah.
Yeah. Good. I'm good with that.
Luciano, by the way, did he kill it with this cigar or what?
Anything that he touches, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's dead air because this cigar is so damn good.
It's good.
All right, so you meet this chick, right?
Yes. Whitney.
I was getting to the name. And then you decide to marry her very quickly.
We dated almost a year before we got engaged.
That's what I just said.
That's quick. Is that quick? Okay. My parents were engaged and married in 3 months, so that's quick.
That's back in the day though. It's times are different, right?
Times are different. Yeah. Times they are changing. Bob Dylan sang about that.
I don't know about that.
Me neither.
Sounds like a cat's in a dryer.
No, but okay, so you meet Whitney and your whole life just changes. Okay, I want to just open this out to the floor and get your guys' feedback, and for those of you who are watching, what's your feedback as well. Think about a vector point in your life that completely changed the trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And in your life, is that the biggest change that you've had? Is that the most important vector point in your life, or have you had others?
No, it's I would say it's definitely probably one of the, I mean, getting married is obviously one of the biggest, most important things that can happen in somebody's life. So definitely one of them. Another one that I always kind of look back on is when I graduated college. My roommate and I, we had our own radio show on a campus radio station for 3 years. And we actually, when we graduated, got an offer to do a radio show at a local radio station there. At the same time, I had an offer to go work for Home Depot in Nashville, Tennessee. And I look back on that, and I see that as kind of and I sometimes wonder, would I still have somehow worked my way back to where I am, right, today, or would have I gone just totally different path?
Starring on Cigar Talk Live.
Right?
It's going full circle.
So, you know, that's one that I definitely look back on and go, oh, which way could I have gone?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't regret anything that's happened, but definitely that's one that I like. Oh, that was one of those pivotal moments that stands out in my mind. I'm sure there were probably a couple other, but that's definitely one.
Do you ever think like, what if? I know you almost kind of did, but you think like, what if we were taking the other path?
I mean, yeah. What if? Where would I have? Would it fizzle out or not? Would I be a syndicated radio DJ somewhere, or big in the music industry, or something? Yeah, would I something like that?
White busy, could be the white busy bee.
Yeah,
but honestly,
not so busy seat.
The kind of lazy seat.
I feel like that I probably ended up on the best path for me, because had I gone that way, I don't know. I've just heard a lot of crash and burn stories in the music industry, and I have a very addictive personality. I don't do anything just halfway. I tend to jump in and go all the way, full bore, and especially at a young age, even without being in that scene, I still did a fair share of my partying. And had I been around some more of those heavier party influences, would I still even be here today, right? So I feel like the path that I took was probably the best one for me.
Yeah. Adrian, what's one of your pivotal moments that you look back on?
Like most recently, I would say moving here. It's been 7 years, but by not moving to the Frisco, North Texas area from El Paso, from San Antonio, I wouldn't be sitting here. Right? I'd still be, because I picked up a cigar at the age of 18, been smoking ever since. So I would be in the realm of cigars, but would it be here? Probably not. And so because of that, I would have met such wonderful people, all the people here watching us today, my channel, just would have been totally different, sure.
Totally different. How are we doing? You guys got audio?
Can you pull
Audio
Max in a
okay
little
coming through?
bit? Can you pull Max in just a little bit?
Oh, you know what it is.
Audio sounds distant.
Okay, so I'll be right back. You guys carry on. Pops, will you talk about a vector point in your life? I'll be right back. I'll make this
Sure. Vector point in my life, I've given some thought to a lot over the last couple of days, because the guy that got me started in the rep business, a gentleman named Dick Baker, passed away on Sunday, and he was he was the guy that put me on a path that I can tell the trajectory kind of started there. And then that led to other jobs in the industry, in the consumer electronics space, and on into consulting and where I'm at now. So, but he definitely put me on a path. I don't know where I would have been had I not done that. So that was definitely a point that definitely changed my trajectory for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
just
it's interesting.
thinking about Dick and his family, and prayers go out to them. But you know, he didn't take a day off. And it wasn't working. He didn't take a day off of having a good time. So
It sounds like that kind of shook you a little bit, because this is the third time I've heard
yeah,
his name.
Well,
over
yeah, I mean, it's
the
just
past couple days.
it's just the reality of it. I think that, you know, to just get it a little bit deeper in the pool, I think that there's something that, you know, I was 27 at the time, and was doing well for his company, was doing well for myself, and there was a point in time where he had promised to sell me and my counterpart in Kansas City, sell us the company. And we had a number of really good lines, and those lines were threatening to discontinue doing business with us because Dick was really absentee. He was an absentee owner. He was out having a good time. And so once we told the manufacturers that we were going to buy the company, that we were going to take it over, all the manufacturers, this was NEC and it was Fuji and it was all the lines that we had some good lines. At the time, those guys all said, oh, if you guys are going to be here, we're in. We'll sign all new contracts. We're in.
If we took over the company.
If we took over the company. And so we started working it, and we're working with the accounts, and the accounts are like, oh, so you're going to actually call on us. We're in. So business started to pick up dramatically. And we were sitting at the Consumer Electronics Show in Chicago, and I'll never forget this, but we went to dinner with Dick, and he said, you know, I'm not going to sell you guys the company. I'm making too much money. We're like, no, but you said you were going to. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. And I held some resentment there, as fate would have it. Nebraska Furniture Mart, which is a large account, was sitting down with the president of Panasonic basically that same time. And Panasonic had just been thrown out of Nebraska Furniture Mart. Now, at an account like Nebraska Furniture Mart, they're doing 25, 30 million a year with Sony at the time, number of big companies. And that was just one store. Now they have 3. So it would have been a $75 or $100 million account. The owner, who's now the CEO, was the buyer at the time. Sorry for the long story. Basically said, if you hire Dave Frakes, then we'll bring Panasonic back in. So they're like, we don't even know who he is. Well, the rep that was in the process of being fired said, the guy's like 20 feet away. He's in the Fuji booth right next door. So they got me, and I was like shielded as I walked into a meeting in one of their meeting rooms with the president of Panasonic. He hired me on the spot because I was so pissed off that he reneged on this deal that I took the job and ended up leaving my company car there and flew back. And didn't tell him that I was quitting for like 3 more days when he called and goes, hey man, you haven't called in or anything. How was the show? I went, yeah, I quit. So, but he couldn't say, hey, you can't do that to me, because he had just done it to me.
Yep.
And he did it to Mark. And that was something that would have really changed our direction in a whole different area. But now that I look back, 30 plus years later, it told me at an early age, never, ever renege on a deal. Never. So I've gotten into deals that were bad, and if I made a commitment, I was going to honor it. So it taught me at an early age, don't ever do what don't go against what you say you're going to do. Just do it. And that was super valuable to me. I held some resentment, but then you fast forward a few years, and he was a customer of Panasonic, and he came to one of our regional shows. The first time I had seen him since I left, and he came up and he shook my hand, and he's like, pulled me aside. He goes, I just want you to know, A, I'm sorry for what happened, and B, I screwed up. And so, we hugged it out, and we were good, but I hadn't seen him or talked to him since. And then to hear that from my friend Mark down in Kansas City was pretty sad. But if I go back in time and look at that, it just, when you've been on the receiving end of a deal that gets reneged on, then you just never want to have that feeling. So I never wanted to impose that on anybody. So whatever I say is going to happen. That's what's going to happen if it's a bad deal or not.
Now, if we can bring that full circle back to kind of our ICC world and how it all changes the trajectory, and somehow this universe just all kind of connects itself. Now we have multiple members who have been able to furnish their homes.
Yep.
We have Nebraska Furniture Mart in here.
Yep.
And we have all of these people who have benefited from that relationship 30 years ago almost.
Yep.
Because Irv Blumkin was the guy with Nebraska Furniture Mart who said, you need to hire this guy. You hire, you do your job, you become national salesperson of the year many, many years.
Yep.
And now the people who are near and dear to you get to cash in on what you've done.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is one of the benefits for our members here is they can get the Blumkin family pricing at Nebraska Furniture Mart. And in reconnecting with Irv and talking to him about all that, one of the things that he said to me when I left Panasonic, I went to another company. That's when I started running the record label. But I gave them 30 days notice just to make sure that Irv's stuff was taken care of prior to leaving. And he told me, I never forgot that. You know, the fact that you could have left, but you didn't, you wanted to make sure that our stuff was taken care of. And that's just, all of those things were just to think that he still remembered that, you know, 20, 30 years later, it still was something that resonated with him. So, you know, that's, but it helped put me on a path to understanding the importance of character and honoring your commitments and stuff like that. And then you live your life by that. But sometimes it's the fear of knowing that you could potentially put somebody and have them feel like we felt. Because I mean, it was not good leaving that restaurant. I mean, I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, he talks about honoring commitment. Before I actually go into this story, I want to talk about, I love the new format and everything. I actually, on my trip back, I had missed a couple of shows. So I listened, helped me stay up at night, right? I went back, listened to Jalen's, listened to Jeff Hogan's, and listened to all of them. And then when I got to the final one, the most recent one, that's when I was like, oh yeah, we're going to have a conversation about what they're talking about, because that's not
we're going to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Stick around to watch him
talking about commitments.
Ralph.
My dad taught me a lesson very early on. So the first sport I ever played was baseball, t-ball, and we had
There probably wasn't a lot of t-ball at Texas A&M, was there? So you were probably pretty dominant.
So our team was so dominant. We were turning double plays and everything. We won and everything. So I was used to that. I tried soccer the next year. Our team was so bad. We had a guy that would commonly kick the ball to our own goal. Well, and we were,
but it's soccer,
half of it.
We hadn't, like halfway through the season, I don't think we'd even won one game. And I told my dad, I said, I don't like soccer. I don't think soccer is for me. And he said, okay, well, that's fine. He goes, but you made a commitment and there's a lot of other people counting on you. So you finish your commitment, you finish the season. And then the next year, if you don't want to play, you don't have to, but you signed up. And it's an important thing that you're there for your teammates. I was 7 or 8 maybe, but that has stuck with me for, honoring your commitments. So from an early age, and that's probably one of the many lessons that my dad taught me that I'm very grateful for, and that has served me well. Even if it is a bad deal, if I've made a commitment and I got to go out of the way or whatever, I stick to that. And that's something that's always just kind of stuck in my head. Like, you commit to something, it's not just about you. There are other people that are counting on you. There are people that are watching you and kind of follow your lead, whether you know it or not. And it's an extremely important thing that, hey, you stick to your commitment, follow through. And then once you're done with that commitment, it also makes me think before I make a commitment, I think, okay, can I do this? Can I stick to this? Is this something that I can follow through on? Because I don't want to, let anybody down or not be able to follow through. So,
I wanted, as you guys were sitting and talking about that commitment and character, and you're talking about, these solidifying moments. You were 27, you were I don't know, 14 or how old you were playing t-ball with those kids.
14-year-old playing
But-
against 7-year-olds. No wonder they're dominant.
But I think it's easy for us to look back at the younger generations and go, well, these guys don't have character. The new generation have character. They're not the same. They're not. But let me just ask this and just get your feedback on it. Is it unfair to expect that the younger generation has this character without the experiences? Can you have that character? Can you have that solidified foundation without having those experiences that you go through first? Are we quick to dismiss the younger generation because they're younger and they're into something different than we're into? And maybe they just haven't been given those opportunities to really have that character.
Well, that's I think
maybe
it,
it
I think
is.
it leans. I think it leans on parenting because your dad told you. I hope that I set that example for you guys. That you. So it almost takes somebody having that experience to be able to share that experience. The question is, do parents today talk to their kids about things that have happened to them in the past that may or may not have gone right?
Yeah.
That changed things. And, I know you hearing about this, Brandon, is, you're hearing more color about what happened. But, I think that you wonder if parents are sitting down going, let me tell you how important it is to honor your agreements. Here's what happened to me. And I wonder if that's happening. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe we're making an assumption that these kids aren't getting that. But, it seems to me it's going to take somebody that had to be on the wrong end of a deal to be able to share that and hope that the kids don't stand on landmines. I've always spent my life trying to make sure that you and your brothers avoided landmines and didn't step on them, whether you knew that that's what was happening or not.
Well, yeah,
But
I think you did a good job of painting. Like, that's where a landmine is, and this is what happens when you stand there. You can stand there, but that's what's going to happen here.
Yep.
And I think that communicated. What do you think, Ed?
Yeah, so let me give you the Mexican version of Chris's ordeal, right? He's in a sport and he's not sure he likes it. And hey, Dad, I don't think this is for me. The Mexican version of that would be, you know what? I paid $150 for you to play this game, and you're going to finish it. It's a different lesson, but same, idea.
So was
right,
it
essentially.
was everything tied to what it cost? I mean, was that a big driver?
So $150 worth,
Yeah.
that's huge,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
right? So I mean, growing up, if you don't have that type of money, it's like, I'm going to get my kids, either in this sport or I'm going to put them in a class or something so they can learn something. And it's like, no, back in the day, it was like, I felt if a kid wasn't happy, it's like, you know what, I paid for this. You're going to finish it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So again, it's a different lesson taught where it's a monetary.
But it's a similar concept, right? Because
Yeah.
it's sacrifice in the end,
Right.
yeah.
right? I think that's what you're talking about.
Exactly.
It's not the
Don't you, as-
$150. It's
Right.
what that represents.
So Brandon is probably the most recent athlete. Did you feel?
Still.
Yeah, you're still. I saw you do push-ups. So, but did you feel that your coaches were committed to you, so you had to be committed to them?
That's really interesting you asked that. And I think it may be even a leadership question, right? Because our championship teams had coaches that you knew that you were their lifeblood.
Yeah.
And the shit teams, you just knew they were there because they're a coach.
Yeah.
Coach Pete
Totally.
was
Yeah.
Coach
for
Pete
sure.
was an asshole, and he was a football coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's an asshole. He'd yell at you, and hopefully you got him on a good day. Coach Wortman, I wish he was more of an asshole, but he was just so kind-hearted that all he wanted was everyone to succeed. And there's a reason why he has 13 undefeated seasons, right? The winningest high school coach in Nebraska
He
football
lost
history.
3 games in the 90s.
3 games in the 90s.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
mean, just from my senior year, there in a school, my class, graduating class, had 285 kids in it.
Damn.
We had 3 pro players in my senior team.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is just some town
Yeah.
in Nebraska.
Yeah,
out
3,000
of
population.
that team, there were 6 pro players.
Mm-hmm.
right? And you look at it, but I think you're right. I think it's leadership, and maybe that's something we can run a parallel to today. Is I take great pride in cleaning toilets, because you know that the great coaches would do those things.
Yep. Sure.
And I think that's maybe a leadership question, but an interesting one.
Well, but I think that the players feed off of those coaches that have the right attitude or work ethic or whatever, right? The championship teams, right? Those coaches probably had a strong work ethic and great character and so on and so forth. Where the teams where you guys didn't do so well, the coaches probably didn't have as strong a character, or I'm just guessing, right?
Yeah.
That's just kind of
no, you're right. No,
right?
you're exactly right.
And so I think the players feed off of that, and that's what helps make those teams stronger or better, and work harder and spend the extra hours in the gym or extra hours after practice running routes or whatever it is, right? Shooting free throws or whatever. So, yeah.
Okay, so punch a hole through this thought process. Does a strong character from a leadership create a strong culture? Is our culture and character tied together? Or can you have one without the other? Can you have a strong culture without having leadership or individuals who are of strong character?
I think you have to have both.
I think you have to have both. What do you think? You think you can have a strong culture without a strong character?
Yeah, definitely a combination of both. I mean, it doesn't have to be, 100% of each, but 50% of each of those, and yeah,
Think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
It helps.
Look, I think leadership makes the world go around. I think that it's infectious when people see a true leader that sees the commitment that they'll make. We have two guests who just joined us that are caddying for tour pros.
Yep.
The commitment, when you see the commitment, other players around them or other football players that were around you, if they saw a work ethic that was created, it created this culture of success. It created this culture of winning. It created this culture, and you either got on it or you sat on the bench or you watched the game from the up in the stands. So I think everything is the culture. I think for me is created by leadership, because the leadership creates an infectious attitude that other people want to have. I sit and talk to Jonathan Scott, and I look at the commitment that somebody has that played 10 years in the NFL. And you look at a guy like that, and he's just wired differently.
Yeah.
And he had to get that by watching other guys stay later, come in earlier, and coaches that would encourage that. And then when you have that, you take it in for you take that with you for the rest of your life.
Right.
And then you're going to surround yourself with people who do that. Jonathan doesn't align himself with people that don't give a shit. He's aligning himself with people that will put in that extra effort.
I think you're if you are in sports or any type of activity,
No one
high school,
no one who's
college,
watching this is in sports.
that it's not just it's not just the coaches, it's also the fans, the parents that also have the more of that support and that same type character and everything that you have around, I think the better off it is. It's rare to have just one of those good influences and still be successful. I think it's a combination of the community, right? Build the village. You got to have all of those pieces. Looking back, I didn't understand how important it was when I was in high school and it was happening and growing up. But no matter what, at least one, if not both my parents were at every single game or activity that I did. There were a couple of times that my dad couldn't make it or whatever because of a business trip or whatever. And not only just for me, but for some of my teammates who didn't have as stable of a household, right? After a game, he would, oh, hey, so-and-so, I saw that tackle, great tackle on this and doing this and great job on that. That was a great pass. That was a great whatever. it didn't register at the time, but looking back on that now, not only did it have such a positive influence on me, but even some of my teammates having that extra support and positivity around, I think is a huge influence on it was a huge influence on my life. Again, I didn't recognize it at the time, but looking back on that, that's definitely, something that I didn't appreciate at the time, but man, I would not be the person I am today without some of that stuff.
Yeah, I think we're all coming down to culture.
Yeah.
Right? Because like that team, that the parents or the coach or the players or whoever, they all have a role in this culture, in this community. And once you get that forward momentum rolling and the culture is strong and then when something bad happens, you have this positivity that can maybe stumble up, but at least they see what's happening and then they get it out like a thorn or whatever. We see that here is, between you and Ron and Wayne, and Evan, Nathaniel's new, but within this core group who's in the room right now, the amount of times that on a Saturday morning at 8:00, Ron and I are wiping down furniture and disinfecting furniture together when no one else is in the room. And then you come in and you make sure to use stainless steel cleaner in the ashtrays. You don't fucking work here, right? Yeah. Neither of you guys work here, but you guys are doing
the
this.
Texas Wage and Hour Commission's not watching because we don't pay this guy shit.
But it's a higher point because you look at the levels. Is if members, customers, and staff members and leadership all work for the same shared purpose, boy, you've got a culture that can withstand some hurricanes.
And I know that you guys don't necessarily like this when we speak very highly of the family.
We should move forward.
It's your leadership that helps make us want to do those things, right? Your leadership, your character that you built here that everyone wants to be a part of. And I mean, I don't need to have a man cave at my house, which is only, 5-10 minutes away, when I have this gorgeous man cave here. So I'm going to treat it like my house. And it makes it easy because of your characters and how you treat us and the members, your extended family. It makes us want to treat it like it's our house and our family too.
There's something very healthy that I think
and I think it's a synergy. It just kind of keeps itself
builds.
going. Yeah.
When you create that, the other thing too is when you create a culture like we've created here at Industrial, the people that maybe are not they don't share the same mindset, they end up going back to where they were. They kind of find out that it's like a tour player that's going to go hit 500 balls out of the bunker. There's some guys that are going, I need to get better in the bunker, but I don't want to hit 500 balls. And there's a lot of people that come in here and they're like, man, to play here, I got to shake everybody's hand when I walk in. I got to shake everybody's hand when I walk out. I got to make myself known. I want to be part of what they're doing. And there will be people on the outside going, I'm just going to go back to that other place. I can just sit here and not be involved. Yeah, and and a game needs spectators too.
I mean, you use the analogy of 500 golf balls out of the bunker, right? This is probably pretty close to your 500th show with Saturday at the shop and Cigar Talk Live.
Yeah.
You're not paid. You're not making any money sitting here.
No.
Right? But you're always here. And I know 5:30, 6 o'clock on a Tuesday, I'm going to see you. Yeah. And there's something infectious about that. I'm excited. I'm excited to see you here because, this is work. At the end, this is fucking great work. There's no complaints about it, but we're working.
Yeah. No. I've said this many times with Kathleen. It's like, whether it's Tuesday night or Saturday morning, she's like, where are you going? And I'm going to the shop. I'm going to go do either Saturday at the shop or whatever. And I'm working. She's like, that's not work. I said, it's not work technically, but it's building the brand. It's helping another company build their brand. Meaning, when we started, years ago, right?
Yeah.
It was like your social media had to grow a little bit, and that was my little piece of the puzzle to kind of just help.
But don't you think that? And I don't know if this walks us down a different path, but it's important that a cigar lounge has a culture and has an identity.
Mm-hmm.
And
Any business.
right, any
Yeah.
business
Family,
that somebody can attract to, that this process of being part of a cigar lounge, this is the way it's supposed to be. It's lost on many because they just feel that, you know, they swing the door open at 10 and whatever happens, happens. And they close it at 9 and lock the doors. But for us, it's just, you know, you got to work to get into this culture, and then you got to work to stay in here. But the work's not work. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's
not.
work.
You know,
It's
but
work. No,
Look,
truly. It's
these guys make it a lot easier for us.
no.
but-
I see what you're saying. It's work. Let's be real honest about it. It's a lot of fucking work. And at the end, I mean, you guys all know this is work. This is work we've elected to do.
It's fun work.
This is the work that we want to do versus
Right.
the job that pays this much, so I do this, and then that's what and it's got good benefits, and you got to do what you got to do to sustain a family. We put our balls on the table, and we said, let's go. Right?
Yep.
You are
Those exact words.
You are selling a prized possession to pay for the space where we are.
Mhm.
Right? Something that someone would kill for
Yeah.
to make sure we're in our spot.
Yep.
Right? I didn't get to see my kids today. That's sacrifice. You know, it's Tuesdays are 8 in the morning to 11 at night every week. It's work. And I couldn't be fucking happier about it.
No.
I love it. I love it. I love being in here. I love seeing Wayne with his production crew hat on. Evan, every time we connect, like,
It's infectious.
it's infectious.
It is.
Yeah.
And people have become this addiction to the conversation. That's what's missing in the cigar industry today is the conversation. And you know, there are
Not
cigar
here.
bars that act like bars, and bars are there might be a conversation between two guys having a drink. They may never see each other again, but we have. You know, you guys are just eavesdropping on
Right.
a conversation we're going to have anyway.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
exactly what I kind of view this show as when I was listening to all the shows when I was coming down was, oh, it's like being a fly on the wall at ICC because these conversations, whether it was with Jalen or Jeff Hogan or whoever, those in-depth, deep conversations happen every day here at the lounge, whether it's in the public lounge or the private lounge or in the humidor or wherever. I was like, this is a unique experience. They're getting to hear a conversation that Adrian and Pops and Brandon and I would have almost any day, whether it was with me or somebody else. And that's what I kind of like about it because it's kind of the fabric of the cigar culture here at ICC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
I loved it.
No, and I think there's a huge value. I think there's a huge value in having real conversations with people you trust.
Yeah.
Because some people can check you. Real friends will check you sometimes. Right? That's one thing we saw on Saturday is we saw a pretty intense conversation happening with a couple of people that was very valuable. And it was really cool because we could take somebody we didn't quite know quite as well, someone we knew very well, and check and go, hey, see what you're doing, but pull it back. Pull back a little bit.
Yep.
Because you're not on the right foundation. I think true good friends do that.
Well, and I think, you know, a culture, if it's properly established, has out of bounds. You know, and if you think about it, just because you're in the culture and you've been accepted in the culture doesn't mean you get to go out and do stupid shit. You don't get to say things. You don't get to do things that are not kind of accepted in our universe. You know, our two people shouldn't go butt head to head. Say what you got to say. Let's clear this thing out, but let's get back to where we're at. Where a lot of times that's what starts the bar fights, right? That's what starts it when two guys are not agreeing with something, and then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we've been here for 6 years, and I think in 6 years we might have had to walk one guy to the door. You know, but we don't have to have a security guard.
No.
yeah.
You know, there's a lounge. I got a picture of a lounge in Atlanta that the guy that's standing at the door had body armor on.
Oh shit.
That sends the wrong signal.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to go into a shop where hold on, why do you need a flak jacket on? I don't know if I really want to be in here. What's about to go down?
Right.
You know, because it's just it's a free reign.
Yeah, what's happened in the past that you have to wear body armor?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're very blessed here, and for those of you who are watching, thank you for watching. I mean, we really see you as our ICC family as well. You take your time, and we can't give that back.
Yeah, we got people coming in from all over the country, and we appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, Adrian, on your side, what's a recent conversation you've had with someone you trust, someone that you enjoy spending time with, that's left a positive mark on your soul?
Jeez. I mean, that's almost a daily occurrence, especially when I'm here. And I don't know anything specific necessarily because they're all just positive conversations. And just today, you know, saw Baptiste, hadn't seen him in a couple of weeks. And, you know, his parents came to visit him from France, right? Spent a couple of weeks here. And like he took him to do all the Texas things, Fort Worth, and stockyards and all that stuff. And it was just, yeah, having that conversation with him and seeing where he's flourished and just like embracing the culture of just Texas in general is just, that's just wonderful to see.
Mm-hmm.
And then him being here today and just, yeah, I love seeing that. Dude drives like what, 2.5 hours just to come hang out
every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And or, you know, on the weekends or whatever on Saturday, just to hang out with us at the shop.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
I think it's important to have an environment where you know that you can jump in the deep end of the pool with somebody. There's like, it's like a given.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't do a lot of the conversations that you're skipping rocks as we talk about skipping rocks, and the conversation's never deep. When you can have an in-depth conversation, we had some after Wednesday Wine Down last week that were just, man, people are going through a lot of shit. And for every person that's sitting there with that one thing that's got them just twisted, they think they're the only ones, you know? And the fact is, when everybody goes, been there recently, done that, here's how I dealt with it, and you can have other people that are taking something away from that. That to me is what the culture is all about. Mm-hmm. You know, let's jump in this thing and let's try to work this out together.
Yeah,
you know?
Nathaniel has a friend of his that is going through some life that is about to experience Wednesday Wine Down tomorrow, and just watch what happens. Watch.
It's the single greatest thing I've ever done with the cigar, ever.
Frank, are you doing it? Well, you seem like you got your shit together, so you're probably not going to enjoy it very much.
He's just going to listen to the music.
Oh, cool. Nice music. Red lights. Oh, I get it.
No, we're going to find out he's afraid of clowns and all kinds of shit.
Yeah. That's funny you talk about that, because that's one thing that I don't think I've ever spoken with you, Chris, of the many years and many experiences we've had together, because you have a great foundation, you have a great character, you have a great personality. You are someone who, in many ways, I strive to be like. You're a great, great friend. You're a great, great family member. But I've never taken the time to ask you what your fears are. Not bullshit, not heights and spiders and
Nobody's
clowns.
watching. Just go ahead and tell us.
But I am curious on your side, because you find yourself at this, it seems like a vector point of life.
No, you're right. I am there, right, at a vector point. That's a good question. After listening to all the things, I was like, all right, what question are they going to pop on me that I'm not going to be prepared for? So I prepared for a whole bunch of others, but that one, it's not one that I prepared for. So
Yeah, I don't prepare questions.
You do a good job.
I don't
As
prepare
long as you did a
questions.
spreadsheet.
I do. No, I didn't do a spreadsheet for that, but yeah, I do love my spreadsheets.
Mennonites and midgets.
Fear. What?
Those are true. Not for me.
Mennonites and midgets?
Yeah.
I mean, what is it that
You're about to get married. Do you
Right.
fear failure?
I do fear failure, and so I'm gonna kind of tie it. Hopefully this will tie into it, right? So all the traveling and the consulting that I did and everything, one of the ways that I kept in touch with all my friends, and I keep in touch with a lot of my friends from high school, college, and everything. What when Facebook came around was through Facebook and stuff. And one of the things that again, I wouldn't change anything. I've had a great life. But the one thing that I always kind of felt like was missing for me was someone to share it with, and to have a family, right? Because I'd see all my friends, like now most of my friends have kids that have graduated high school. Some of them graduated college. And so like now the fear, now that I'm engaged and we've talked about potentially having a family and everything, is like, okay, I'm older than your typical, I would be older than your typical dad. Like,
Not nowadays.
how am I
honestly,
going to,
dude.
no,
Really.
nowadays it's different, right? I
Yeah.
get that. But, you know, I look at, okay, if we're going to do that, I'm kind of like, we need to do that soon, because I'm like, how much longer am I going to be around? I want to be there for those moments and be able to have that. So I guess, I don't know, my fear is not being able to be there for some of that. And fear of not being able to, now it's not just me that I have to look after. I've got to provide for other people now too.
That's easy stuff
Right?
on the end.
I mean, in the end, yeah, but having now going through it for the first time and all that stuff. So it's, I would think, and I don't know, I've always been very highly motivated. And I've read some books on this, and especially speaking of, you guys know that I was adopted. It's not something I necessarily talk about, not something I'm ashamed about. It just never necessarily comes up in conversation. I've got dark hair, brown eyes, just like my mom does. Dark hair, brown eyes. My sister, fair skin, blonde hair, blue eyes, just like my dad. So anytime anyone, when I was growing up, found out I was adopted, like, no, you're not. They almost wouldn't believe me.
Yeah.
Right. And so maybe there was a little bit of that in the past where I would wonder, like, oh, why was I given up for adoption? You know, was it, you know, so
Do you know? Do you know now?
I do know now. Yeah. But I wonder if part of that, the psychology of that, knowing that, and my parents told me at an early age, and my parents told me in a very positive way. I never felt like it was a bad thing. I mean, my parents couched it as, hey, we got to pick you. Everyone else's parents got stuck with them. Right? Yeah. Oh, I got picked. Yeah. Your parents got stuck with you. They didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
You know, I was chosen, right? Not to get too much of a big head, but yeah. So, but the thing of
Man,
it
I'm
is,
glad you're not drinking.
do I have, did some of that motivate me to always continue to strive to try and do something better or be better, and always, because I'm a very competitive person. I do not like to lose. I do not. And over the years, I've gotten better at graciously losing. But
Except on raffles.
younger, I had a hard time. I'd play a game of checkers or dominoes or whatever it was until I won. And then once I won one, all right, we're good. I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, but so that fear of failure, yes, that's there, but kind of on a different scale. But speaking about why was I adopted, I did make contact with my birth mother about 8 years ago. Just because I had always been curious. My parents had always told me, when you get, to be 18 or whatever, and if you ever want to try and find your parents, we'll help you. And it was something I was always curious about, but my parents are my parents. They're the ones that raised me. But I also had this thing of, if I did it, I kind of wanted to do it on my own, because I didn't want my parents to think that I loved them any less, because I didn't. It was just more of a curiosity thing for me. And so when the internet came around and everything, I actually registered at the adoption agency website where I was adopted. Just put my information out there. And because the other thing I had to look at the other side, maybe my parents, that was a time in their life that they want to forget, and they necessarily don't want to make contact with me. So as curious as I was like, let me put my information out there. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And then forgot about it. And I did this like 2005 or something. And then, advance, 9 years later, I get a phone call on a Thursday afternoon from a number that I don't recognize. I thought it was like, an advertisement or something like that. Didn't answer it. Next morning at the airport, I hit redial thinking I'm calling my friend from last night. Well, it was that number. I hung up. I was like, I don't want to, whatever the bill collector that was or whoever. They immediately called back. And for whatever, usually I would ignore it, but for whatever reason, I was like, let me go ahead and answer this and just get rid of it. And I answered it. And this lady said, is this Christopher Pennington? And I was like, yeah. were you born in Houston, Texas? I was like, who is this? Like, why are you asking me this information? I'm almost 100% positive I'm your birth mother.
Wow.
Now, I had played the scenario of when and what I would say and what I would do if I ever did meet my parents. Yeah, you can plan that all you want, but when the moment hits you, all that's out the window. And I was just kind of, I didn't know what to say. And she was like, look, I was 15, 16 when I had you. You have a half sister. I don't want anything. I just wanted you to know that I'm here. Here's my number. This is my name. We talked for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then she said, it's up to you if you want to reach out to me or whatever. I was kind of stunned silence. I didn't know what to say or how to respond at the moment. But then fast forward a couple years and we commonly talk to each other. I took us a couple years to meet in person. Finally met in person, showed me yearbooks. We'd been friends on Facebook for a while. She knew I liked cigars. She had a cigar for me.
Mm-hmm.
We had a beer and a cigar out on her back patio, showed me her yearbook, showed me pictures of my dad and all this other stuff. So, and we commonly keep in touch now pretty well. So, back then in the 70s, it wasn't a common thing. Oklahoma, she got pregnant in the fall, so she changed schools, moved down to where an aunt lived in Houston, had me around spring break, and came back. Everyone up in Oklahoma none the wiser except for, my grandparents and her boyfriend's parents or whatever. Yeah. And then that's how I was ended up in Houston.
Interesting.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's
a unique
that story,
experience.
Yeah. I don't know if I would want to know.
Why is that?
I don't know. Just I figure whatever the circumstances were then, were done for a reason, and I just leave it as such.
That's kind of what I was like. I kind of wanted. I was just curious, but mainly because do I have any medical background or history or anything like that with some of that stuff?
True.
But you got to be ready to once you do find out, you got to be prepared for anything because come to find out, okay, so my mom and dad were obviously didn't get married, and then come to find out, my last time she had talked to my dad was 10 years ago. He had been arrested for breaking and entering and a whole bunch of other crimes, and then his twin brother is an FBI agent. So
shit,
there you go.
Wow,
whoa. But it was kind of fun because she talked about, she knew that I had been adopted in Houston, and during my high school years, she would always look at Houston high school sports because she had been involved in sports. My dad apparently was a championship wrestler up in Oklahoma. And so she was always kind of just scouring the newspaper and sports in high school just to see. And so it was fun getting to talk to her and learn some of that stuff in the past and stuff like that.
Did she see how you dominated
T-ball?
T-ball?
No, she. No.
I don't know if that made the paper.
No.
Probably didn't.
It was Houston.
14-year-old
Houston
kid
paper.
dominates 7-year-old kids playing T-ball.
No. Yeah.
What a good way to put a bow on that very touching story.
Yeah. But yeah, so, and yeah, we've kept in touch, and it was, I remember once that Friday I found out, I was like, oh, I want to tell my parents, but I want to tell my parents on the phone. But at that moment I had to tell somebody. So one of my best friends I grew up with in high school that I'd known since I was like 2, I called him, I said, you'll never guess who I heard from. And I told him, and he was like, at the time I was actually on a government contracting project. And he's like, are you sure it's not a scam? Someone not trying to find some information out on the job you're on? And I was like, that's a good question. It might be. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
So I was working at the Navy Yard at the time. And so I called my field security officer and said, hey, I had this call. I think it's legit, but I don't know. He said, give me your information. He said, I'll look it up and find out for you. Sure enough,
nice.
When I landed back in Dallas, I had a phone call from him, and he called him back, and he's like, yeah, it looks pretty legit to me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, Adrian.
Yeah.
But I told my parents that Sunday, it was Easter weekend. And my mom was, I was nervous, right? Like, what are my parents going to say? What are they going to think? And my mom was all excited. She said, oh, I'll make a scrapbook for you and take it to her. And she was all kinds of, they were super supportive and everything. Why would I ever be nervous about it?
Your 7th place ribbon in the 100-yard dash.
Yeah, all that stuff. And,
that's awesome. 6 kids ran.
Yeah. But that's another reason I didn't like soccer too, because we did win one game that year, but we didn't get any trophies. And I had this huge, first place T-ball trophy, and
Dominated.
I got this like yellow ribbon for participating. What the heck is that?
Everyone
Sandbaggers.
gets a trophy now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that goes back to a previous conversation.
Yeah.
Adrian, what's your fear?
I'm just happy to be here. You know,
That's
like-
not the
like-
question.
Jesus Christ, Adrian. This is Adrian's first show.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
you've done this before, don't you
250
know? What's,
shows.
We're an hour in, almost ish. I mean, he knows the questions.
What, your fear is Bigfoot?
It could be. If I'm not
Man, I
prepared,
wish Bigfoot would just molest your ass.
I mean, I wish he would too. But I need to be prepared.
I just want him to just
Exactly.
when
So-
you're not armed. I just
Sorry, I missed the question because that was the long answer
Right, it was.
for the
Probably my
original
fault.
question.
That was, I was sitting here thinking like, boy, how did we get to this
All right,
one?
Brandon, what's your fear? What's your fear?
That's not how this show goes.
No.
I asked the questions.
Adrian's going right to Bigfoot.
So if you
No,
if
no,
you
when
wanna-
you started-
if you want to move off that, I've got a question for you guys. You guys are always asking the questions. Let me ask a question. If you had, let's say, instead of 24 hours, you
No.
had 5 extra hours in the day, how would you split those 5 hours up? And I'm stealing this question because I had this conversation with Rob, our friend Rob Goodwin, up front the other day, and I was like, "That's a good question."
So
I'm
say,
gonna steal
say,
that
it,
and use
say it again.
If you had 5 extra hours, how would you split those? What would you use those hours to do?
Smoke a cigar.
So, how much of it? All 5 hours you'd spend smoking cigars?
Yeah, I'll smoke a few because sometimes throughout the day, in my mind, shutting off, leaving work or whatnot, I always have like, I'm going to relax and have a cigar, and it doesn't happen.
Never.
Many times.
Right.
And so if I had an extra 5 hours, smoke a couple cigars.
Okay.
Where do you go?
I'd do a wind down.
5-hour wind down.
I don't know if I could do 5 hours, but
You get to
but
the,
no, I would take 2 of it at least, and I would
Yeah.
I would allocate it just to
Okay.
shutting it down and doing a wind down.
Okay.
Yeah.
where you go?
So I split mine up into 1 hour of that was like a wind down, a meditation type thing where I just kind of unplug and just kind of do whatever I need to do. There were 2 hours of it that I would do some sort of reading or extra hobby
Reading's for
education or
suckers.
whatever.
Gay.
Or whatever.
Reading's
And then
for
another
suckers.
2 hours would be relaxing and spending time with family and friends. So that's how I broke my 5 hours down.
All right.
As long as your friends smoke cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, look, I need about 12 extra hours a day. They're already
5 of 'em you
spoken
need
for.
to rest.
Yeah, you guys are splitting up. Okay, I'm going to do.
Let these guys know they could just drop their ash on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in an active construction site right
Yeah.
now. There's no worries. Oh no, I have. They're already
I, just
spoken
wanna,
for.
I don't want to see him take a
Well-
header
well,
over here.
No, it's
How are
like-
all 12 hours then spent?
oh yeah, if I had an extra 12, I mean that's a whole different situation. But it's real easy. I mean, my life is broken up into 2 categories. That's family and work.
Yeah.
Right. So 5 hours isn't
Knowing
shit.
you'd
Sleep is
5 hours isn't shit.
you do 2.5 hours working additional and then 2.5 with your family.
Easy.
Yeah.
Like that's easy.
Yeah.
It's for me. I mean that you look at it reality because I was just asking for more hours in a day today. I mean we're starting a new business, going through membership. Look, it's all boring logistic stuff. So yes, my answer would be very logical and to the point. Yeah, I just want more time to get done what I need to get done, so that way I can have more time taking those mental photos of my kids as they're still young, because it's not going to last more than 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
So
That's a fact.
Graduated kindergarten.
yeah, exactly. Right. She's 6, one more lap. She's 12.
Yep.
And the phase begins that she hates me. So I get one more lap of that.
Use your car keys.
And then the next lap, she's out of the house.
what?
So I got 2 laps left.
10 more summers left
At
or
least.
whatever. I mean, I saw something on Facebook like, oh, enjoy it now because you've only got, 10 more summers and this many more of this and that. I was like, oh, that's not a lot.
Yeah,
When you
that's-
look at it. It goes quick.
That goes to the questions. What is a fear? And my fear is that I don't remember these times. Not that I don't make enough time for my family or my wife, my kids, and my family. And it's just my fear is when I see my daughter Leah, I don't remember Alessia. And that's kind of heavy
Mm-hmm.
because those moments are gone.
I don't remember I don't remember a lot of the stuff when you guys were young, unless you were completely screwing shit up.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
mean,
It's like
pulling, you know, slippers or pulling a flip flop out of the wall.
out of the drywall. Those are good memories for us. You know?
Wait, what?
And half the time,
So, all right. So let me break up this here for a second because that heaviness set in for a second. But all right, so we're down. We've got this split entry house. You go up the stairs on the right. We would always mess with Nate because Nate had a short fuse, still does, but had a real short fuse. He was like the black cat with the black wick.
Yes.
And all you'd have to say is quit freaking out. And he would freak out.
yeah,
And so we told him, quit freaking out. And Andrew and I took off running right up the stairs, up this split entry. And Nate just took his flip flop off. He threw it up and then threw it at us. And all you just heard was boom.
It's stuck in the wall.
And it just stuck. And it was like, you picture a flag stick. If somebody were to just pole vault or just, throw that thing and trident right into someone's chest, it was just boom, 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 boom.
yeah.
And then we had to figure out how to drywall that
They
back
did
up.
learn how to drywall. They drywalled it really good. It
That
was
whole
very impressive.
section, there was a lot of drywall marks for 6-year-olds.
But it was impressive.
So we
And
had
then
to,
Nate,
we had to
that was
drywall
obviously a vector point because then he became a college athlete and threw shot put and discus.
It was basically a discus.
He was basically throwing the discus.
You're
at that
welcome,
point.
Nate.
With a
Yeah.
flip flop. Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
freaking out.
Yeah, stop freaking out. No, it's I think that's a fear of mine, is to not remember what's happening right now, because when you look at that extra time, it's okay, cool. What are you gonna do?
So
with
I
it?
relate to Pops because we didn't have the internet. We didn't have smartphones, right? To take. I have Polaroids, just like I'm
Yeah,
sure
you
you do.
had to go
of
get
our
film
kids.
developed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have stacks and stacks of pictures
Photo
of our
albums.
kids when they're super small, photo albums. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you just pick up your phone. Oh, remember? And so,
It's a beautiful thing.
and it is, but to your point, I mean, you won't forget because you have the videos, you have your camera. My God, you're a phenomenal photographer and videographer. So you have those memories. The videos you post on Facebook are going to last forever.
I'm
And
glad
so-
you say that. I was just thinking about that today, because when you look at what Instagram and Facebook and all the socials is like, look at the great vacation we went on, like how perfect my life is. I have zero interest in that, but I do enjoy posting those because it is that milestone. It's we went here, we did this, and I can always go back and like, oh, here's what it is.
You'll
And I
get
look
the
at 'em often.
reminder, like here's your memory
Yeah.
from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's the beauty of it all, isn't it?
But it's the downside of that is when it says, like, when you get the Facebook reminder that says, on this day 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Like we had one that popped up when Andrew signed with Callaway. We had this signing in our living room and stuff.
Yeah.
And that memory came up, and it was like 9 or 10 years ago. And then one just showed up. He was at the World Championships, and it's like, God, that was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too fast.
Yeah.
Too fast.
Yeah, it's too fast. And you look at like this compression of time, right? Because time goes fast when you're having fun type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you go to sleep and you wake up and it feels like 2 seconds, right? And life just goes like this. Some seconds feel forever, but a day feels like a second.
Yeah, I mean,
and
2023 is almost over. I mean, it's halfway over. We're about to June,
Right.
and it seemed like it was, we were doing, Happy New Year just a couple weeks ago. It's what it felt like. I mean, time flies. That's
does.
one of the curses of retail, because everything is based on the month and on the quarter and on the the year and all that stuff. Is, man, time just flies by.
yeah, it is a curse. And so what do you guys do to try to elongate time, or how do you capture those moments, or what do you guys do to make life feel as long as it can? And maybe that's a bad question, but
Yeah, I think it goes back to being able to recollect those videos and or pick photos that you captured on your phone.
I agree with that. I used to be really big on every event, always taking tons of pictures. But now I find myself the past couple of years of trying to enjoy the moment, remembering it up here,
I'm there too.
and still getting one or two maybe significant pictures. like of a certain moment or something.
Yeah.
But just trying to live in the moment instead of getting caught up in the.
Oh yeah.
I've noticed that we'll do
Everything.
events with the kids, and I'll have taken 3 pictures.
Yeah.
You know, and it before it would have just been hundreds.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, now they can take the photos for us. Shit
Exactly.
quality, but at least we have the memory. Yeah, it's you won't remember those moments necessarily, but I think it's in the subconscious. And I think there's value in the subconscious thought, in the subconscious memories. Because you feel those are the times that you feel maybe
Oh yeah.
when the days are done or the days are dwindling. Maybe those are the things that you feel.
Yeah.
Like, I lived a good life. I can't remember everything. Can't remember all the memories with Nick or with, whoever.
Right.
But at the end, it's
I
like
had one job, man.
What's up, Whitney?
you can feel it.
It was almost 9 years ago, Pop said I may have had a better cigar, but never a better place.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
9 years.
How do you know that?
Yep. Sit on that mountain.
That 9? No, I think it was 8.
Was it 8 years?
I think it was 8 years. I think that was 2015. Or
No,
was it?
15. We went to Nicaragua.
This motherfucker.
Shit. That was almost a decade ago. Yeah, it
Wow.
happens fast, ladies and gentlemen.
So going back to you started you asked the question about your fear, and I said 2 things: Mennonite and midgets.
Yeah.
Right. So I got one of my best friends, Tom Nunez. This was like late '80s. We're walking into a Subway restaurant. Had to have been somewhere in the outskirts of El Paso. We're walking in the Subway, and then he stops, walks out, and I'm like, I'm here, I'm getting ready to order, and I go back out. I was, dude, what the fuck? He's like, there's Mennonites in there. They were the ones, making the sandwiches, but they had like they dress a certain way, right? When you see a Mennonite, right, and those types of people. I think they were Mexican Mennonites, which were huge, like
To make
from
cheese.
Mexico, in El Paso, and he would not go in there. And this is when I learned that he was afraid of Mennonites. He's also afraid of clowns, but that I can understand that. Mennonites, I don't get. So Quakers, Mennonites, any type of what's like in Wisconsin, those other people that drive horse cart, Amish people.
Oh, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm out. Midgets, that's Kathleen.
Yeah.
Midgets.
We've gone to stores, and if there's a midget there and
Or
a
little
little
people.
person,
Yeah.
she will back out. No, but you're not. I mean,
No,
you're
you're
past the
normal.
threshold. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good.
We knew a guy, John McSwain, and this dude was a man's man. And his
was good.
his day job was putting horseshoes on horses.
Oh,
This dude was just a man.
Feather.
But
Farrier.
if he saw a little person. So one time,
Yes. Okay. Good. I'm
so
glad you're
one
getting
time
into this story.
we're at this other cigar
Stay
lounge
tuned.
before we got thrown out. He's behind the counter, and this guy walks in, and he's like 6'8", and his wife is like 4'1", and he is now behind the counter, and he's stuck, and he can't get out, and they're just standing there, and he's got his head shaved, and sweat is pouring out of his head, and he was having like a panic attack. And then he came out, and they finally moved away, and he came out and he sat in the chair, and he was just like he had just had like, that feeling you have when you just miss getting hit by a car or something. And he was just freaking out. So from time to time, like I feel is my role in life, I see these videos where like midgets are racing horses and stuff like that, or they're having fighting, boxing and stuff. I just send them to him. And he'll just open them up, and then just to see the video, he loses his mind. He loses his mind.
You know why?
No,
Because
because he was beat up by it.
He was bullied by a midget.
He was bullied by a midget.
He was
They
put in
him
a-
in a barrel.
in a 55-gallon drum and locked it.
Yeah.
How?
The evilest little person on
Yeah,
the planet.
just-
Just one,
Chucky.
or was it like
It was Chucky
a
when
gaggle?
he grew up.
Is that what you call like
A gaggle.
A gaggle?
What,
I don't
a
know
gaggle
what-
of midgets?
What-
herd?
Is that
I'm sure.
a herd? Is it a gaggle?
If there's any little
murder?
people out here watching besides Evan, if there's any little people out here watching, we are an equal
Welcome to the
opportunity
party.
No,
offender.
let us know.
Welcome
Is
to
it
the
a gaggle?
family.
Is
What
it
the
a
hell?
Yeah, what do we
What is
call
it?
you,
Yeah.
people?
Gaggle, a herd?
Could you imagine what a herd
cluster.
sounds like?
A cluster?
It's just, yeah. I mean, it's just.
I think it was one midget though. One midget sticks you in a barrel and you're messed up for life.
And he's a.
Well, they rolled him down
He
a hill.
fucks with.
He's like
I think
325 pounds.
Yeah, no, he
How
looks
does that
like
even
Nate.
happen?
He looks like Nate.
They just told me this story.
Yeah, he's just.
Did he really?
Petrified.
Cigar lounge and the guy yelled for Nate. And he had to-
Yeah, Nate. He wanted Nate to save him,
Yeah.
Is that why? So
and he moved. He moved to Colorado after that.
ever like when I first met Nate and we started doing events here, he's always wanted to do a midget throwing contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, forever.
He thinks, Andrew has the world record for the most 300-yard drives in an hour.
Oh, I see where this is going.
So then that competitive side of his twin, Nathan's is Andrew's twin. So Nathan always felt, I need to get one of these Guinness World Records too. So he actually researched and found a midget that'll let you throw him for $75.
Yeah.
So he
That's
wants to
it?
get like the world
Right?
record guys
I'd
out.
pitch in for that.
I'd
think we
pitch
need to
in.
do
I'd pitch
this.
in the whole thing.
I'll pay the guy $200 and just let him have multiple throws, or maybe some of us could
Like
do
a
it.
carnival game.
Like a carnival game.
Have you seen
Maybe
where
like one of the
he wears a
Velcro
Velcro
dart
suit?
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just play darts with him. But I mean, I'll pay him $500. I don't give a shit. I think it would be great, but we should find out what the world record is, and let him. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, Nate knows.
All figure
Because
out.
somebody
when we
Google and
talked,
let us know.
when we talked about it, Nate and I looked it up both, and we found it. Yeah. I
So
found it and sent it to
you
him.
had a part in helping Andrew with the.
The least difficult part of
No.
Shit, you were
My point is, how would you help
down.
Nate?
throw the midget.
Yeah.
I'd give him the smelling salts. Get him all jacked up, and then just let him rip away.
And tell him just to chill out so you get all upset. And,
Yeah, I tell him,
Oh,
quit
yeah.
freaking out.
Quit
Nathan.
freaking out.
Yeah.
Then
Quit
he'd-
freaking out. Hit this.
5 inches.
Yeah, Nate only has to throw a midget 11
he could do
feet,
that
5
in
inches.
Sleep. He could do that backwards.
Winnie the Giant.
That's like from here to like where
That's
Ron is.
nothing.
For a 4'2" midget.
I could do that.
4'2".
Yeah.
Hey,
So
Scott
when
does.
Nate threw
How tall is Devin?
when he did track
How tall are you?
indoors.
But he's beefy though.
I don't think
He's
he could
beefy
throw
though.
5'3".
5'3". Oh, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
No.
beat. No.
No,
Yeah.
but when but Nate used to throw when he did indoor track, he had to throw. It was called the weight throw, and it was basically a 35-pound bowling ball with a handle on it, and he could throw that 60 feet.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah, Steve's got it. Well, you tell Whitney
you
that we're.
understand where the
Yeah, Whitney's on
I
the
told her
screen.
friggin'
Tell,
switch is to shut that
tell her
thing
get on
off?
Facebook and you'll see that.
We're still live,
Yeah.
Whitney.
She just told me
Jesus.
good night. That's all.
Oh, good night.
Where? Hey, do we want to get to the?
All right,
the
let's
whole
get to
reason
it.
he's here
Let's get to
because
it.
Oh,
he-
yeah.
the way he bitched on that cigar.
Yeah,
and
this
threw
is-
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
And then this is going to
That's what
classify as a
everybody's
judgment
thinking.
zone for tonight.
Yeah.
So here are the
We can
facts.
still do the judgment zone. I don't think I've ever answered those questions.
Here's the facts
I think we
behind
know
the
where you
case.
sit.
All right.
Okay.
I don't think he has an answer. I don't know what his answers are. So we.
I don't know how
definitely
he's going to justify it. Here are the facts. And then we can
Facts.
hop into
ladies and gentlemen,
judging.
if you've done this, let us know.
All right, so the German engineered cigars manufacturer partners of ours created an A, which is a 9 1/4 inch cigar. And Elliot smoked that cigar in 16 minutes.
Oh, that was a fact that we left out from the last show. Okay.
And I
Oh, so
won.
this was a competition that I fast smoked a cigar, not that I fast smoke cigars all the time.
All right, so
Oh.
he
What's the
Okay.
difference?
so he
You're-
smokes
you're
a
arguing over
cigar.
Semantics here.
well,
competitive
yeah, I'm
edge.
just looking at everyone's cigar. I'm looking who's been smoking the fastest there. And,
I'm on my
yeah.
second one, bitch.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Oh,
Exactly.
well, exhibit A. See how fast he smokes? He smokes 2 cigars in the same amount of time that
He
I
smokes
smoked one.
half of one, then lights another one.
Yes. Okay. So, okay. All right. So the challenge was you had to smoke this 9 1/4 inch cigar in 16 minutes. We will roll this footage. We will make sure to
I
post
did.
it
I
on
got
all
sick. I
social
admit
media.
that. I admit that totally. 100%.
You got
on air.
On
Very
air.
sick.
Yeah, I did.
Over my shoulder. You hacked it.
I
right?
was good until about the 12-minute mark when everyone said, "Oh, you don't look very good," and I was sweating like crazy, and I had a spit cup because there was so much nicotine and everything, and I thought I was going to be able to make it, and then I don't know who it was, but someone in the crowd was like, "Yeah, you look like you're gonna yuck," and started making the noises.
Were you making the noises?
No, I wasn't making the noises at that, but when they started making the noises, I'd had a
That's-
breakfast
that
taco,
gets me.
and that
Just
at
the
that
noise.
point I was already weak. But I thought I was gonna make it, but they started making the noises, and I was done at that point.
All right.
But I
But
did
he-
finish.
he
So
was
what?
sitting
But
right
what's your
behind us.
what's your rebuttal from last week though?
Well, none. It was never mentioned that it was a contest. It was. Why would you ever fast smoke a cigar? You got to make love to your cigar and take time. This is Rhonda, right? You never once spoke up. Well, to
That's
Chris's
Rhonda.
credit, it was
make
a
love?
competition to see who could smoke it the fastest. Yes, I did smoke that one. I tried to smoke it fast.
It wasn't a competition. He just decided to try to beat it.
You made it a competition on
It
your
was
You
Rhonda
underwear.
the
said
night
no
before.
one could beat it, and I was like, no one could beat it.
I won
said,
like $600
I might
bucks
be able to.
because I was the closest on time.
You won $6.
No,
600.
600.
You won $600 on that.
because everybody was putting money in, and I think it was $100 or $50 or something to buy in.
Right.
Whoever got the closest, and I was like right on it. But there were guys who were saying an hour or whatever. I went no, 16 minutes, and then he comes in and just decides I could beat that. So he wasn't even challenged. But that we're learning from
Okay,
your
whatever.
earlier conversation that you're very competitive,
I am.
motivated, and driven.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just threw up on air right behind us.
I'm the only one to throw up on air.
That was you still hold that record.
That's right.
Yeah, even with the century egg, there was
Oh.
no vomit with the century egg.
No, there wasn't.
I've
Well,
done the
you know
minnow
what?
several
What do you
times.
think's going through the minds of our friends over here?
That they chose the wrong lounge to go to tonight.
There was a minnow. There was
They're
lots.
like, Jesus, this is a
lots
full
of life with the
contact
minnow.
sport coming in.
But also facts. The 3 times that I participated in the slow smoke competition, I finished 5th, 3rd, and 2nd,
Yeah.
but not first.
That was Begley.
But
First-
definitely not the fastest in the 2 people that go to the lounge here that own the fastest records. Kayla with
Well,
0,
however you want to sell it.
and Ron with what? 30 seconds? Ron?
Ron went out. Ron
No.
didn't even get started. The matches went out,
Yeah.
and he didn't. He was like, they're like, okay, guys, we're gonna get ready. We're gonna start. 3, 2, 1.
A year.
1
Oh,
second
fuck.
later, Ron goes, I'm out.
Slow smoke competition.
Yeah, there's always a reason.
So
And I only got my cigar half lit before I had to stop.
Okay.
Ron was
I was sitting right
justifying
next
how
to you.
Yeah, right.
I was fine.
Hey, listen, I was in it for the fun. I wasn't in it for the competition.
here we are.
Let's go judgment zone.
All right, let's
Whatever.
judgment zone and pivot. Let's
Judgment
roll.
zone. These guys are dying to vote on the judgment zone.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. So this is the judgment zone. Eric, Frank, this is how it rolls. This is your chance to judge the fuck out of this guy here. Okay, we're gonna ask 3 questions. He's got to answer on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is absolutely no. 10 is absolutely yes. And if he answers a 5,
We're gonna make him smoke a
Frank,
cigar 60
Frank,
minutes.
and Eric both get to double kick you in the scrotum.
Okay.
That's just the rules. I don't make them up. I just abide by them.
That's new this week, though.
Yeah.
But it's a good rule, right?
I like that.
We should tell
There-
everyone in
there
the
should be-
crowd.
there should be pain involved.
We should tell everyone in the crowd. Okay, so, and then we get to answer his answers for him first, and then he gets to. Pops, let's change it up a little bit. Why don't you run first?
All right.
Oh.
All right. So, judgment number 1, you can't answer until
Right, no.
after we tell
I
you
know
the
how this is
question.
played,
This
yeah.
you've seen this before. All right. So, question number 1: Bigfoot, does he exist? If you have an experience up in Michigan somewhere, I'm sure you do. Maybe share that with us. But does Bigfoot exist?
Where do you guys think he's at?
Where are you guys at?
1 to 10.
7.
It's pretty strong.
Yeah.
7. All plus 5s. Nathaniel,
Fucking
4.
0.
4. Do you know his answer?
Where are you at?
I don't know. He likes spreadsheets a lot.
Yeah, he is a big spreadsheet guy.
I put him at a 3.
He's a gun guy.
He is a gun guy. He would want to shoot at him.
Okay, we got a 2
JD
coming
Barr's
in.
coming in from Paris.
I'm saying it's
Texas.
up by 3.
We win.
Where are you at?
Me and 0.
I know where you're at. You're a 0.
You're looking at me. So
Yeah,
yeah.
unless you shoot at it, it doesn't exist. I'm gonna go. I'm 7 light.
Okay.
7-ish.
Where you at?
7-ish. 8.
Get the fuck out of here.
That's awesome.
Why?
Why an 8?
Why an 8?
He's lived in Michigan
It's
for a
been
long time.
molested.
Mainly because
Some hairy women up there.
I like the idea of something out there that we haven't been able to find yet, and that it's out there. So I
I
think
like
he's.
the
I think
idea
he's
of
out
having
there.
a fucking Ferrari.
Yeah, and then the fact if it is out there, then there's probably going to be a hunting season on it, and I'll get to shoot at it. So yeah.
But here we are in 2023, and Mark McClurkin can't even get us out to shoot this thing.
Well, there's actually a
No.
Bigfoot event up in Michigan next weekend.
You should.
It's
do
just
it.
all the hairy women that
Do
bring
it.
Fuzzy women,
Girls up
fuzzy,
in
blurry
Michigan
women
don't
of
shave.
Michigan.
Yeah,
blurry.
there's some hairy bitches up there. So,
They're hairy bitches up there.
but you got to do it and take your phone. Just have like a GoPro on your head.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you going? Please
Got
go.
to.
Please go.
What else?
I
are you
said it to
gonna do?
McClurkin. I
Throw
said, "Hey,
darts?
if you come up here, I got a place for you to stay if you want to come do this." But yeah,
you got to do it.
There's a huge there are Bigfoot statues and T-shirts all around where we live up there.
Yeah,
that's
It's a big thing.
McClurkin's
You're right. We're right up
house.
there. It's all wooded area. You're right there,
It's-
close to
it's prime
Canada.
square- it's
So
prime space.
yeah,
You think Bigfoot is Canadian?
might be
Hey,
Hey.
yeah.
right.
Paris, we're being told women don't shave during the winter.
In Paris,
Paris, Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
Paris,
Oh, is
France.
Yeah, I
Baptiste
lived
is-
overseas for
Baptiste
2.5
on-
Is that
years.
Baptiste?
It's not just in Paris. It's
No,
a
JD
lot
If it's
over in
JD
Europe.
Mars,
He's in Paris, Texas.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women overseas that don't shave. Yeah.
They must be.
All right. Well.
All right, I'm an 8. Yeah.
Where you at?
All right.
What's
Not
what's
because
next?
I have any evidence, but
So it's a
I
zero.
want it.
Oh, sweet.
I mean, so do I, but I'm still a zero.
It's
You
out.
don't,
He's
you
out
don't-
there.
You don't want it like we want it.
All
Yeah.
right. Next question, we're going to judge your
Look,
ass on.
he's
Yeah.
like, this is already
Yeah.
sucks.
We're going to keep it a one-parter, and it's UFOs. Are they real? Do they visit us? Where do you stand on that?
Ooh, what do you think? 10?
County mine state lights.
Yeah, okay, 10. 10. Contrarian with a 9.
Yeah, with that.
I always throw this out, and I'll ask you guys because you're new. But are in the same camp that I'm in? Do you believe that all redheaded women are aliens? I mean, just if you think back through your career of maybe talking to one or two at the bar after in the 19th hole, I'm telling you, they're aliens.
Yeah.
And Elon's an alien. Bill Gates is an alien.
They're not redheaded.
I think Gates is. He probably dyes his hair. But
All right, so where do you think Chris sits?
where's Chris set on
Yeah.
aliens? 10.
Yeah,
I'm 10.
9.5.
Where you at?
Where'd you say it was?
10.
Now you're only doing one part.
Yeah, one parter.
A 2-parter.
No,
Well,
this is a one
okay,
parter.
if
This
you
is
wanna-
straight
if
to
you
you.
wanna
No,
add
no,
the-
he gets a one parter
Oh,
because he was so upset at him. He wasn't giving him both both parts.
okay.
11.
This motherfucker.
11. I think that means he's been probed.
That's what the extra one is.
They're really nice guys once you get to know them. Yeah.
They've got great bourbon, better than ours.
Aliens?
Yeah,
Have you seen an alien before?
I said UFOs, though.
I'm not at liberty to say.
Are you talking about aliens or UFOs?
Well, who's driving them? I mean, somebody's got to fly.
Whoa,
those
his name's Pedro. He's a coyote.
things. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a UFO story over there?
Yeah.
Well, let's hear
Let's
it.
hear it. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No?
Yeah, check out this ass.
Just
No,
want to share a
there-
story.
Yeah, we have. There are UFOs. There are aliens. Yes.
And you have an experience.
I think you're right, Pops.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't have a warrant. Just tell me what happened. Did you see it? Was it?
I don't think he saw it. He
Did
didn't,
it hurt the
he didn't
first
see it
time?
coming.
I'm just curious.
Do you see if you don't answer this where this is going?
The alien's name was Bruce, and it was a
He was an alien
Yeah.
from Mexico.
Okay, so you're
He's
10.
not. He's not budging.
He's got
I'm
pro.
gonna- He's not. He's not budging.
He's not going to tell us. He got it.
Let the record show that Chris Pennington was probed. Number 3, one parter, because he wouldn't tell the story. Ghosts. Do ghosts exist? And I'm talking about the ghosts that you picture right now. When you close your eyes and I say ghosts, that's what I'm talking about. Can they be hunted?
They can't be hunted. Can't shoot them.
What do you think?
Where you at? 8? 9.
A bunch of no faith tenors too.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, this guy believes in everything.
I'm going full 9 iron.
Full 9.
Full 9 iron. Just swing away, bitch.
2.
2.
Yep.
You are so biased.
I'm
You
going.
want
I'm going
everybody to
3.
be in
I'm
your
going
camp.
3. I'm going sub 5 with you.
No, you guys are crazy.
No, we got to straddle the line.
All right, where are
1.
we?
1.
What?
Yeah. 1. But I do believe.
What?
But I do.
The aliens sold him.
But I do believe in spirits, though, like that.
Not what I asked.
I know. I know.
Yeah,
The second part,
that would have been the
I know you don't,
two-parter for sure.
But the ghost, no.
So the spirits thing. Do you have a story?
He's not allowed to say.
I no. I do. It's so. Well, it's
I think you're getting the aliens mixed up here.
no. It's more of
Tonight's show's going to go for another hour. and a half.
no. When after my grandfather passed away, and after his funeral, we were back at his house. I was pretty close to my grandfather on my mom's side, and I have fond memories. One of the reasons I love cigars is he used to smoke a pipe, and so sometimes certain cigars will hit me in the right way. I'll get a certain smell out of it or taste, and I can just close my eyes, and it takes me back to sitting on the front porch with him while he's smoking his pipe and whittling wood or anything. But I just had this. I was just so, I don't know, I felt lost at the time after his funeral. And I happened to sit down in his lazy boy chair where he used to have his pipe and his little pipe stand and everything. And everyone was out on the patio at the time. I was just kind of sitting in there by myself. And I just felt this overwhelming, hey, it's going to be all right. I'm always here with you. And so I feel like that in certain times or whatever, that those spirits are there. And if you take that time, that wind down, that meditation or whatever, that we are able to connect with that spirit or that whatever it is of someone, if you're in the right frame of mind and kind of connect with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's good. But
One
ghosts
ghost
are all-
story doesn't count. It doesn't
yeah.
count.
Ghosts are all smoke and mirrors. Yeah, that's whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
Speaking of smoke and mirrors, this is Cigar Talk Live. This is our Tuesday get together. Thank you, beautiful people. Thank you,
Had a good
Chris
time.
Bennington.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here and clarifying that you were indeed in a competition. With that being said, we love you, appreciate you. Adrian, sign us off.
Later, guys. Catch us next Tuesday for Cigar Talk Live, 8:30 p.m. ish.
Right on time.
Seems like yeah. Saturday at the shop, 10 a.m. Central Time.
Yeah, definitely is on Saturdays.
That's it. We out.
Later, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.